Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest is Michelle Rupp, founder and CEO of Memorable Results Media. Welcome to Radio Entrepreneurs.
Jonathan, so good to be here. Thank you.
So you guys are doing something really interesting. You've got a PR background, and you are helping small and mid-sized organizations, entrepreneurs, I'm sure, by and large, with their media exposure and getting them hopefully positive media.
Yes, we are all about the positive media here at Memorable Results. My background is in television. I spent a little over 2 decades in the television industry. And so I draw on that experience and what makes a good story, what makes a good segment, what viewer benefit is when it comes to small businesses, and what those small businesses can do and how they can position themselves within their local media to get positive coverage and ultimately maybe get a few more eyeballs looking at their business or their organization. Social media is a great tool, but social media is not the only tool in the toolbox. And so traditional media works well and in concert with social. And I love having the opportunity to come alongside entrepreneurs, small businesses, organizations, and talk a little bit about what positive television could do for them.
So, Michelle, do you subscribe? I should have asked you this, but I'm going to go with the hardball question up front. Do you subscribe to the old adage that no press is bad press? That there's an opportunity to at least get eyeballs, and sometimes it's a function of how you tell your story in front of those eyeballs. But again, it's not easy to always have something that's newsworthy and a positive newsworthy in that regard.
That's right. That's right. And to your original question, do I subscribe to the thought that all press is good press, even when it's not? It certainly can get your name out there. Typically, from a local news standpoint, when I was a reporter, unfortunately, when I would show up on the scene, generally it was not because of good news that was drawing me to your business. So, what I like to do is kind of flip that now and get with businesses and let's talk about the good that the business is doing in the community, maybe the service that they might be providing. There are instances where I have come alongside businesses who may find themselves in more of a crisis type situation where the media is calling because they are not coming to do a good story. And I've been able to kind of walk businesses through some of that, having been that reporter myself. But typically, no, we want to highlight the good that is happening with businesses, with organizations, and providing that content that newsrooms need. Sometimes those newsrooms are newspaper because as we know, not every community has a television station there, but just about every community has a local paper, might even have a local radio station. And so a lot of the earned media that we go after kind of runs the gamut, kind of makes the spread there between radio, television, and newspaper.
Well, it's interesting as I think about it, and what it is that you do, and the first thought obviously comes to news. Is it newsworthy? Are you doing something? And everybody always says, "Well, why don't we talk about our charitable endeavors and what that's providing?" But as I start to expand my horizon and think about it, there's so many different venues, if you will, or platforms. You talk about different media types, but I'm thinking about in the Boston area, we've got profile shows that profile local area businesses, or they profile different types of tourist attractions or area, things to do in the area. And very often they're small and mid-sized businesses or entrepreneurs, and they're showcased. It's an opportunity to showcase their businesses. Are those the types of features that you're looking to highlight your clients in? And if so, what other types of platforms are there? Because there must be so many of them hidden, so to speak. I'm saying hidden because people just don't think about them every day, and that's the world that you operate in.
That's right. One of the things I like to do with a client is kind of do a deep dive into their community, their demographic, their ecosystem, if you will, of what media opportunities are around them. Certainly, in a place like Boston, you're going to have potentially a larger spread of opportunities than what you might have in small town South United States. As it relates to the Boston area, there are lifestyle shows. There are maybe even more niche magazines that are important for small businesses to get into. One of the things that I like to explore with clients is, okay, what are you offering? Okay, what are you doing? What is newsworthy? To your point, what is newsworthy? And how can we position that or pitch that in such a way that lifestyle shows, maybe an evening reporter, maybe a weekend anchor, would look at that and go, that's a really good story. Let's figure out a way to make this happen. A lot of my experience also comes with just the contacts that I made in television. It's a very tight fraternity, it's a very small fraternity, if you will. And so there are contacts kind of across the country. That is a bonus because businesses, while they can pitch themselves, and I encourage them to do so, oftentimes it helps if you have someone who has an in. Who is your who? Who do
Mm.
they know in that newsroom that could directly get a pitch in front of a specific producer or a specific reporter that comes from someone who worked in television, still works in television on a freelance basis, that can say, oh, yes, okay, this individual knows the importance of telling a good story and the visual components that go into a good story. Yep, okay, what do you have for me?
So the difference in earned media is essentially that it's a unpaid appearance essentially.
Yes.
And so different than paid media being buying an ad, buying radio or television time to promote your pieces. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I would just imagine that reporters, producers, et cetera, are always looking for content, yet they are probably inundated by content at the same time. So having somebody such as yourself be that opportunity to open a door to be able to pitch something is probably, tremendously valuable for your clients. Do you have any statistics on, what is earned media as a component of television versus paid media? Or are there any, because there is a lot of time that needs to be filled up through earned media. But I guess the question is, the question I'm ultimately at is there enough of it out there? And the answer is probably yes. That it's a viable option for most businesses to go that route and not be spending their advertising or marketing dollars on media.
It is. And I would also add that a lot of it comes down to what is your goal, your potential return on that investment? What is your goal of that earned media spot? Sometimes it's revenue, right? We want to drive more people to the business, more customers. That in turn is more dollars. But in some cases and in some instances with organizations, that goal or that ROI is, can we get an event filled? Can we sell out? So it may not necessarily always revolve around dollars and cents. Is there an opportunity to pay for advertising? Yes, there are times when that is necessary. For small and medium-sized businesses, that may not fit in within their budget, in which case looking at what an earned media opportunity might accomplish sometimes can provide them more of a bang for their buck, so to speak, with that earned coverage.
We've all heard stories, and as a matter of fact, I'm just thinking back to one that I heard on the radio. And I know probably all markets are doing these types of things, little vignettes about a business, and it was a pizza shop, and they talked about their secret ingredient in their sauce or their dough or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But the moral, if you will, or the story was that the lines are out the door now because they got a little bit of press coverage in the form of a story about whatever there was going on in their world, whether it's labor shortage or COVID and being shut down, etc., and turn that into lines around the door and such high demand for their product.
Yes. Yes. I have
Yeah.
one client in particular, locally who I've been working with for almost 3 years. And the owner of this particular establishment said to me every single time we have an appearance on local news, we see an immediate return. We see
Mhm.
customers in our door. This particular client takes donations, clothing donations, and they are a resale, an upscale resale shop. And she said they're coming as far away as 45 and 60 miles away to bring
Mm.
their donations. And then sometimes they stand around and shop with us. Sometimes they were simply looking for another place where they could make a donation. But every time we are on local news, we see an immediate uptick in customers that come through our doors. I worked with another organization who was very interested in increasing their participants for a 10K race. And we worked together last year, and that race sold out after getting multiple appearances on various TV and radio stations locally. And they are on track to sell out again this year as well. And for them, that's what they wanted was we want to sell out our race and begin to bring back a race that used to bring in several thousand runners and then it dwindled over time. We want to get it back to its heyday when it was bringing in several thousand runners. And so they themselves are completely sold on local media and have told other races, hey, if you really want to, make a dent in your registration, get with memorable results because they've done that for us.
It's fascinating, Michelle. We hear so much over the last decade, certainly about social media and its influence and the number of users, number of engagements, and things of that nature. But sometimes, and then we hear about dwindling traditional media viewership, readership, listenership, etc. But the numbers are still enormous, for television, radio, print. We're talking millions of people. So if you can convert those opportunities into eyeballs, into ears, which sounds like you're helping your clients do, you can get tremendous results out of it.
You can. And where else other than traditional media, you just said the millions potential in viewership. You can't get that on social,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
And
So, but when you utilize them together and work them together, then it just makes a more well-rounded message because you've got it on social, you've got it on local news. All of a sudden, the perception is your business, your organization is everywhere. And that helps fuel the excitement for people to come to businesses, come to events, and participate and look and see, okay, what do they have going on? Because every time I turn around, they're popping up on my Instagram feed, or I'm seeing them on the local news, or I'm hearing them on the radio.
I want to be a part of that.
Want to be a part.
Michelle Rupp, founder and CEO of Memorable Results Media. If people want to get in touch with you, want to learn more about your service and engage with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. Well, I would invite them to go to the website, which is Memorable Results Media. Easy way to remember that is that's what we provide our clients, memorable results. So, Memorable Results Media. I also, on social media, I hang out on Instagram, and that also is Memorable Results Media as well.
Fantastic. Our guest has been Michelle Rupp, founder and CEO of Memorable Results Media. It's been a pleasure having you on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. And we'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.